Today, we have some new information about the next expansion entitled Warmind hitting Destiny 2, including an apparent leak revealing its content, and some actual DLC 3 information as well, so let's get started. What is up, guys? Rick Kakas here, and recently we had the official reveal of Expansion 2 for Destiny 2. We know it's titled Warmind, we know it's releasing on May 8th, and we know that the official trailer is going to be revealed during a Bungie livestream on April 24th. That is what we know. However, there is now some more information coming out via, well, quite a few things as you will see, but there has been a new apparent leak. Now, where does this leak come from? Well, someone posted this on the Bungie forums, and this leak shows a GameStop listing for Expansion 2 Warmind, and therefore the listing contains product details, information about the story and the content that is within this new expansion. Now, we're going to go over what this leak says and then talk about, whether or not this is probably true or maybe not so true. Then we do have more real information after that. So, what does this leak say? What does, GameStop apparently say? Firstly, it states that Destiny 2 Expansion 2 Warmind deploys your Guardian on an urgent mission to Mars, with an all-new story campaign, destination, and new adventures. Following the events of Expansion 1, Curse of Osiris, Charlemagne, who is a Warmind, has mysteriously reactivated on Io and is assimilating Exo across the system into a new army of war machines. Trapped in a physical body by Charlemagne, Rasputin has been rescued by Anna Bray, the last of the Bray family. Work together with the duo to breach into the Exo network and stop Charlemagne before he marches upon the Traveler. So, whoa, saying quite a bit there. Essentially, Charlemagne, another Warmind, as opposed to Rasputin, reactivated and is taking over Exo. Exo as in Cade 6, and a lot of our characters that we selected at the beginning of Destiny and Destiny 2. They are, in essence, AI. They are still machines. Controlling them is not out of the question, and fighting an evil army of Exo would certainly be a new enemy type. Now, officially, Bungie has stated that you will fight new enemies in this expansion, and a previous leak said that there would be a new enemy type coming in this expansion, so that does kind of line up there. In addition to that, Rasputin, another Warmind, being trapped inside an Exo isn't as ridiculous as it may seem. In fact, this is a picture of exactly that. It was actually what was being planned by Bungie. They were going to have Rasputin transfer his consciousness into an Exo and you rescue him from the Dreadnought. That was the original story of Destiny before things got rewritten. So again, not as preposterous as it may seem. It then goes on to list a bunch of bullet points about the content of Expansion 2. Firstly, explore Site 8 on Mars and defend against an army of corrupted Crypt Exo as you fight to confront Charlemagne within the Exo subnet. Next up, ascend the Deep Stone Crypt as you fight against increasingly powerful bosses in a new cooperative activity. That sounds amazing. After that, new cinematic campaign and adventures, new Warmind themed weapons, armor and gear to unlock, new cooperative raid layer activity, new competitive multiplayer arenas, and more. Now, this sounds pretty sweet. Like, if this was 100% legitimate, I'd be saying, that's awesome. Something that I'm sure stood out to a lot of people is the Deep Stone Crypt activity where you fight increasingly powerful bosses, a new cooperative activity. Wow, that's fantastic. That's exactly what Destiny 2 needs. But this is definitely a leak that's looking a little bit more to be fake. Firstly, it gives away way too many specific details. Usually when you have these product details, it is a lot more vague, going explore Site 8 specifically and fight the Crypt Exo. No, product details are going to say something more like fight new enemies. That's what they say, a new enemy type, something like that. So it's a little too specific for my taste. In addition to that, the person who provided the leak also leaked this, showcasing, you know, the GameStop cover of Expansion 2, and down there you can see that it's available for preload April 8th. They forgot to change the 4 to a 5 for May 8th. So again, this is looking very likely to be false. I wanted to cover it because I'm sure it'll come out other places. You never know though, someone at GameStop could just have accidentally set it for the wrong date. That has happened before, 100%. And maybe Bungie is being this specific. Maybe, you know, with DLC 2 being all eyes on it, right? And DLC 1, Curse of Osiris, not really working out so well, they could be trying some new approaches for Warmind, and I seriously wouldn't be that surprised if they go a completely different direction, provide us with a bunch more information, and tell us exactly what's going to be in this expansion, because frankly, and I think you guys would agree, Bungie has a lot to prove, and so being as vague as they usually are maybe isn't the way to go. In any event, likely to be fake, wanted to cover it, but something not so fake is the mention in that leak of the Deep Stone Crypt, because the Deep Stone Crypt is legitimately somewhere we may go in DLC 2. Now, where is DLC 2 going to take place? Well, it's not officially stated anywhere, but it very much appears to be Mars. Now, this is coming from, I would highly recommend if you want to, watch my video on some of the DLC 2 secrets that have been revealed. Bungie released a 4K image of Expansion 2, and based on what you can see within the space, like based on the celestial objects you can see, including what appears to be Phobos, it really does appear to be set on Mars. And only recently, Eric Osborne, who is the marketing director at Bungie, replied to Chris Hadfield, the astronaut's picture here of Mars, saying Mars is beautiful early in the morning, light snow on the dunes. And Eric Osborne said, indeed. So you don't just find a random picture of Mars with snow on it and say indeed. It seems a very cheeky hint in the fact that we're going to Mars's ice caps within Expansion 2 Warmind. And again, the evidence of the 4K image pointing the fact that it's Mars, there's just a ton of evidence. There was another tweet that someone said, can't wait to go back to Mars. Bungie liked it. There's just so much stuff pointing to the fact that we're going to Mars's ice caps. Now, here's the interesting thing. So, let's say that's the case. Let's say we're going to the ice caps of Mars. That would mean this image is Mars, and that would mean, if you look especially to the left, that is a lot of ice. In fact, complete ice sheets. And if you look at the real image of Mars's ice caps, there is a lot of ice. Now, why am I saying that? Well, it means that a lot of the old Destiny and Destiny 2 concept art that featured a lot of ice aren't necessarily what we thought they were. A lot of times when you see an image like this, you think Europa. Now, this image is indeed Europa because it's listed as such as official concept art for Europa. It was potentially being planned in Destiny 1. But what about this image? Europa? Some other icy world? Or could this actually be the ice caps of Mars? This is something people are realizing, that all of this concept art showcasing icy landscapes now potentially could be Mars, and that would indicate that they could actually be where we're going in this next expansion. The one I showcased right here, this is potentially showcasing the Deep Stone Crypt. Now, what the heck is the Deep Stone Crypt? Well, according to the lore, the Deep Stone Crypt is an infamous subroutine that seeded the first Exo consciousness. Some Exo experience flashbacks of this subroutine in the form of a dream. In the dream, a tower rests on a black plane. Some make it to the tower in peace, while others are forced to slay an army of everyone they have met in order to reach it. And in fact, this is an actual Titan mark with the Deep Stone Crypt on it, like a picture of it. So this isn't just pie in the sky lore, this is something that Bungie has acknowledged and actually put in game. So, the Deep Stone Crypt being a lone tower? Well, this concept art, which is official Bungie concept art, could indeed showcase the Deep Stone Crypt on the ice caps of Mars. And that would be really interesting, especially from a lore perspective, finding out more about exos, how they work, why they keep seeing visions of this Deep Stone Crypt, all of that stuff would be just really, really interesting. And hopefully, Bungie, compared to Curse of Osiris, is taking the storytelling in this next expansion in a more serious, interesting, and less cracking jokes light. Now, moving on from there, we actually have some information, yes, about DLC 3, not 2, 3. So, what exactly is going on for DLC 3? Well, no one really knows. We recently found out that it's actually going to launch in September via the updated development roadmap, which shows Season 4 beginning in September. And we know that seasons are tied to expansions, therefore Expansion 3 comes out in September. Now, we've kind of all assumed that Expansion 3 is going to be another big expansion, something like the Taken King, which is going to cost a little more, but give a lot more content, right? But we have had no proof of that until now. Recently, Bungie got involved with a bunch of different charities. And Bungie, seeking to provide incentives for people to donate, has a bunch of donation tiers with rewards. For example, if you donate $500, you will get an hour-and-a-half gameplay session with Bungie employees. So that's, again, a reason if you're a super fan to donate to a great charity, and then you get something in return. However, the $50 listing is receive an unannounced new exclusive emblem in the fall for our next Destiny Comet release. What the heck does that mean? Essentially, this one donation tier, ducked behind a charity, ducked behind a This Week at Bungie update, is the first official mention of DLC 3. So, unannounced new exclusive emblem in the fall. What's coming in the fall? What's coming in September? Recently confirmed, of course, Expansion 3. But our next Destiny Comet release. Why have they said this word? Why have they said Destiny Comet release? Comet? Do you mean expansion? Well, actually, yes, I do. Because Comet was used before to indicate a Destiny expansion. So this image here is a cleaned up image of a leak way back for Destiny 1. It was a leak of all of the expansions planned to come out for the original Destiny. We had, of course, Dark Below, which were announced at the time, but then it was Comet, Plague of Darkness. Now, Comet, Plague of Darkness then changed to the Taken King, of course. And the next two expansions after didn't really work out. We did get the Rise of Iron instead, but at the time, this leak was apparently real, and even though Bungie shuffled things up, the plan of two small expansions and then a big expansion stayed true. And again, that big expansion was referred to as Comet. That's really the only connection here, but it's very telling that Bungie calls their next Destiny Comet release. And that would indicate the use of the word comet is something that Bungie uses to denote a larger than usual expansion. Again, this was all assumed up to this point. No one really knew, but now we kind of do. And now it really does point to the fact that DLC 3 will be another massive Taken King style of expansion. Now, this does make sense with what is happening with Season 4 in the updated roadmap with entirely new weapon slots and weapon randomization. That would indicate a completely redone loot system, which of course would be a big feature, take a lot of time, and hopefully rejuvenate Destiny 2. In any event, guys, that is it for the video. I hope you enjoyed and found this informative. If you did, please remember to help me out by simply rating and especially sharing this video. If you guys want to see more Destiny 2 content similar to this, don't be afraid to slap that subscribe button. Now, if you guys want to get in touch with me and keep up to date with the latest channel activity, the best way is to follow me on Twitter at RickCacus. That's linked in the description down below, as is my Twitch channel, which you can also follow. Again, I hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, have a good day.